deserves a position there, a role there.
Prime Minister Modi during operations.
Duterte's arrest, a historic moment for justice. Philippines confronts Duterte's drug war legacy. ICC sets precedent for prosecuting former leaders. Philippines' sovereignty challenged by international warrant. Duterte's arrest sparks global and local protests.
Hello, I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching another episode of Xplained here on NewsX World. Now, on March 11, 2025, former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte was arrested at Ninoy Aquino International Airport in Manila by officers of the Philippine National Police and Interpol, acting under Operation Pursuit. The arrest was carried out in compliance with an International Criminal Court warrant charging Duterte with crimes against humanity for extrajudicial killings linked to the Philippine drug war. Having just arrived from a political rally in Hong Kong, Duterte disembarked from his flight to find authorities waiting. The operation unfolded swiftly and without significant resistance, an unprecedented moment marking the first time an Asian leader and the first Philippine president would face trial before the ICC. The case against Duterte stemmed from long-standing allegations involving the Davao death squad and thousands of drug war deaths. The ICC investigation covers the period 2011 to 2019, when the Philippines was still a signatory to the Rome Statute. The probe originated with complaints filed in 2017 by lawyer Jude Sabio, followed by additional submissions from Senator Antonio Trillanes, the Magdola Party, and other human rights advocates. Although the Philippines withdrew from the ICC in 2019, the Supreme Court ruled that in 2021, the government remained obligated to cooperate with investigations into alleged crimes committed before the withdrawal. Now, under President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., the government initially maintained a stance of non-cooperation. But by 2024, it acknowledged that ICC investigators could proceed independently. Later that year, the Marcos administration stated publicly that it would comply with Interpol should Duterte be indicted. Behind the scenes, the Department of Justice had already begun preparing the president for the possibility of an ICC warrant. The PNP drafted an 80-page operational plan codenamed Operation Pursuit, highlighting potential arrest locations in Metro Manila, Davao, and various Duterte-linked properties. The ICC issued its warrant on March 7, 2025, reclassifying it as public 4 days later. Now, Duterte, who traveled to Hong Kong with his family and closest aides on the same day the arrest warrant was issued, was aware of his situation. His appearance in Hong Kong quickly fueled speculation that he might seek refuge in Chinese territory. Nevertheless, he pushed ahead with the scheduled PDP rally in Wan Chai, where he alluded to the rumored warrant and declared himself prepared to face arrest. As Duterte's return date neared, security forces were deployed across Manila, Pampanga, and Davao. Duterte's group booked multiple flight reservations in an attempt to obscure their actual arrival. But at 9:20 a.m. on March 11, he landed aboard Cathay Pacific Flight 907 and authorities immediately made their move. Still on board the aircraft, officials informed him of the warrant and escorted him to the jet bridge where he was formally taken into custody. The scene turned chaotic quickly. Dr. Duterte live-streamed the encounter. Partner Hanilet Awanshina attempted to block officers, and Duterte's legal team was prevented from reaching him. He was then taken to Villamor Air Base, where a 12-hour standoff followed. Although the PNP offered medical assistance, legal counsel, and communications with his family, Duterte refused booking procedures and initially resisted being transported to the Netherlands. Tension escalated when police attempted to separate him from his family. Avanchina struck an officer with her phone and Senator Bongo was denied entry. Former Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdia was briefly handcuffed after interfering with the police. Ultimately, Duterte relented, boarding a coaster that brought him to a chartered Gulfstream G550. The aircraft departed late that evening after delays caused by a flight permit negotiations and adjustments to the passenger list. As Duterte's plane left Philippine airspace, President Marcos addressed the nation, emphasizing that the arrest was implemented through Interpol and not under the ICC's direct authority, stressing that the Philippines was fulfilling its international obligations. And the arrest triggered immediate and polarized reactions across the country and abroad. Supporters, particularly in Mindanao and the Visayas, held motorcades, prayers, rallies, and candlelit vigils, with Davao City becoming the heart of the pro-Duterte movement. Overseas, Filipino workers and diaspora groups organized their own protests, demanding Duterte's return. Now, since 2016, Duterte's anti-drug campaign has faced strong opposition, particularly from victims' families and human rights groups. They have organized rallies, vigils, and protests calling for justice for the victims and accountability for Duterte. The protests have extended internationally with solidarity rallies in cities like The Hague, New York, and Hong Kong. Protesters demand an end to the killings, judicial reform, and Duterte's accountability for the deaths during his administration. Duterte continues to have a significant base of support, especially in his home region of Davao. Many of his supporters view the war on drugs as a necessary action to reduce crime and improve public safety. They argue that Duterte's policies were effective and that the ICC charges are politically motivated. After his arrest, large rallies were held, particularly in Davao. Duterte's trial at the ICC has been postponed due to a clinical examination ruling him unfit to stand trial because of cognitive impairment. This delay has intensified protests on both sides of the issue. Victims' families and human rights advocates demand swift justice, while Duterte's supporters view the charges as an attempt to undermine his legacy. As the trial progresses, the Philippines remains mainly deeply divided, and the debate over Duterte's war on drugs continues to shape the nation's political discourse. Let's listen into a few of the public reactions here.
I was prepared for a lot of things. I even prepared myself that maybe one or two of the grants was going to be rejected. I didn't prepare for all of them to be rejected, honestly. He's a very frail person now. He's a risk to nobody. He's not a flight risk. Half the time, he doesn't even know he's in the Netherlands. Half the time, he doesn't know why he's there. So I don't see the risk.
Very disappointed, very sad. And I feel this with other Filipinos, the rage within us. It's not, the court didn't give the humanitarian consideration. There's no humanitarian justice for former President Duterte.
And as you see, it's an 80-year-old man, and he is sick. And I am not a lawyer. I just want to cite that even with the humanitarian, I don't see any threat that he will going to fly away and skip away, leave Netherlands.
And reactions from political leaders were deeply divided as well. Allies like Salvador Pinello denounced the arrest as unlawful, while members of the Duterte family, Vice President Sara Duterte and Davao Mayor Sebastian Duterte, accused the government of violating national sovereignty and mistreating Duterte in custody. Sara Duterte traveled to the Netherlands and vowed not to return to the Philippines for weeks, launching an international effort to secure her father's release. Meanwhile, Duterte allies claimed police raids and evidence planting were underway, allegations that the PNP family firmly denied. Now, within the government, responses varied. President Marcos urged calm and dismissed claims of political persecution. Senate leaders called for due process and unity, while Senator Amy Marcos criticized the political fallout and pressed for Senate inquiries into the legality of the arrest. In contrast, members of the House Majority Bloc welcomed the move, framing it as a long-awaited step toward justice for drug war victims and advocating discussions on rejoining the International Criminal Court. The arrest marked a watershed moment for the Philippines and for global accountability, signaling that even former heads of state may one day be made to answer before international law.